A Real Life 60-Day Bride, episode number 99. Expect more and pay less at Target. Come on. Who does not shop at Target? What female out there doesn't? Today's episode of the Keep It 100 Girl Show is brought to you by Target. You know, the luck of the Irish has arrived early at Target. We have some sham-rockin' deals to share with all of you, so let the shenanigans begin. Chase down that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow with 25% off sneakers for the whole entire family. Speaking of gold, save your riches with Target's home sale. Look, you can get 20% off bedding, throw blankets, pillows, curtains, rugs, kitchen and dining, and entertainment, all kinds of stuff. And in case someone forgets to wear green on St. Patrick's Day, they can avoid being pinched when they take advantage of the buy two, get one free on all video games. Except for the Nintendo Switch, sorry. But look, Target's collection of adorable Kids Adore is available exclusively at Target. And if you're looking to refresh your kids' room for the spring, Pillow Fort, look, you can save up to 20% off. For this and other deals, look in my show notes. It's so easy. Just click on the episode name, look at the view full description, and bingo, you just click on the Target shopping link to find this week's shopping discounts. Welcome back to the Keep It 100 Girl podcast. As always, thank you so much for listening this week and joining me today. I'm broadcasting live from Washington, D.C., and I'm your host, Nina Babel. And if you're joining for the first time, look, I help both men and women celebrate embarrassment in their lives. You heard me. This is where I get both of y'all to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, even if it's totally embarrassing or super cray-cray. Because you know what? I have 50 shades of cray-cray. You're going to get it real. You're going to get it raw, unfiltered, no judgment. Today we're chatting with a 60-day bride. So when I say this, what are you thinking? Because I'll tell you what I was thinking. 60 days, huh? I thought about all those guys, all those dudes that I used to date. And what if I married one after 60 days? Well, I could tell you it would be an immediate divorce. But this woman decided to marry her fiance in 60 days. It was a matter of life and death. And learn why she made this happen with a quickness. And some sanity-saving things to consider also if you're in the same situation or even if you could relate to her story. So Girly Nation, are you ready to keep it 100? My hand is raised. How about yours? Are you ready to keep it 100?
Ready to keep it 100, girl.
Oh, Nina, I keep it 100, baby.
Yes, I'm ready to keep it 100.
I'm ready to keep it 100, girl.
You know I'm going to keep it 100.
So it all begins with his medical situation, right? He is on dialysis. In fact, looking for a transplant, and the testing of kidneys is a long, arduous process on the human body, especially when you have only lived half your life. She didn't want to risk missing out being his wife, and she wanted him to make sure he got the best medical attention that he could. And she felt that being his wife was the way to achieve that. But let's go back a little bit and understand where she came from, where he came from. No judgment.
I was taking my husband to Emory, and they have a kidney transplant and pancreas transplant program. And then initially, his doctor had said, you know, you have type 1 diabetes, you need a pancreas and a kidney. And so that's what we thought. And they have this process where you go 3 separate times. And in those 3 times, they do different tests each time and evaluate you. So one day, all he did was a stress test, but it took like 3 or 4 hours, and I wasn't allowed to go with him. The other days were days where I was allowed to be with him, but various doctors, one after the other, would come in the exam room, and they wouldn't necessarily do an exam on him. They would just talk to him about different things, and then he might go somewhere else and take blood, and then he might go to another building. And it's just like most hospitals, it's very complicated to navigate it. Yeah. And so he finished those 3 days at the end of August. It was not 3 days in a row, but it took about a month to do those 3 days. Mm-hmm. And so we had to keep going back. And he was a good candidate. He was accepted. That was all good. And then it started my process of now I have to decide, they have to decide if I'm a good donor. And so now they have to do my test. So like last week I went to the lab locally and they had me like save my pee for 24 hours. So I brought that. They took a whole bunch of vials of blood on me as well. And I have the the only reason I know the lab results is because I simultaneously did lab work for my internist. And so my internist reviewed the information with me, but Emory has not called me back. It's been like 2 weeks since I did the lab work and they have not said anything to me. They haven't emailed me, called me, nothing. So I'm like, is that good or bad? Because I need to know what the next step is. So, that's just making him crazy because he knows it's a process, but it's like, come on, I want to know if I can look at her or what, because there's many things that when you have someone that wants to give a kidney to you, they have to match. And then there's other factors. So because we're married and we're the same household, there's some things we have to think about that other people won't because they're in a different household. You know what I'm saying? So if both of us are down, who's going to take care of us? Stuff like that.
So Derry's in her 40s. She's already been married. In fact, she was divorced in 2005, and she had been married for 5 years and single for 12.
I've actually been married a shorter period of time than I've been divorced, and I raised my daughter by myself part of the time. And in the beginning, my mom and my sister helped me. So when my husband and I broke up, my sister moved down. They were living one was living in New York and one was living in Baltimore. And so my sister moved from Baltimore. She was living with my brother, but then he went off and he met a wife. So he just kind of dipped out, just left the apartment, moved in with her. And my sister was just at the apartment by herself. So when that ended, she came with me and helped me. And my mother also came later on. And they helped me raise my daughter for like the first 5 years. Oh, wow. So I don't know where neither one of us, me or my daughter, would be if, without their help. I probably would have, I don't even know if I'd be here, honestly, because I was not mentally well. I was not happy with life at all.
So in this next clip, she met her husband online, right? They met March of 2016 and got married in May 2016. And they're both from the Atlanta, Georgia area. More so she is than he is. But she packed up all her stuff and out of love moved to Columbus.
It's not something that I'm ashamed of, but, conventional wisdom would tell you, when you meet someone that you need to get to know them for a while, whether you go by Steve Harvey's 3 to 6 month rule or you go by something else, conventional wisdom or common sense, whatever would
society,
say,
right? Or society.
You don't marry somebody after 2 months. And everything that I would think about prior to meeting my husband, I would be right there in the choir with them. Like, yeah, you stupid. Like, you don't even know this person. Like, you can't do that. But there's a special reason why I did this. And I'm going to say in a nutshell, especially since you know the exact reason, issues that he's having, is that I married my husband quickly to save his life.
She went with her gut. She was like, yep, got to do this. But before she moved forward, she wanted to have her family's blessing.
I just decided, I've been married before, number one. Number two, I've lived, I'm going to take this chance. There was nothing inside of me, God, nothing saying like, don't do this. With my first husband, I was with him for a long time. We dated on and off for 2 years. And I prayed on my wedding morning. I prayed all through the relationship, and God ain't never did anything but say, don't do it. And I did it. You know what I'm saying? So I want to blame, being young, like, oh, I was 20, I was 21, whatever. But that I distinctly remember wanting to make it right and be like, oh, okay, I'm doing this with this person. I want him and blah, blah, blah. So God just bless it. Just, come on, because this is what I need. Mm-hmm. And this is what I want, not what I need. And, God is a gentleman. He's like, okay, that's how you want to live. I'm going to be here doing what I do. You do what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And so, but there's nothing like that with my husband, my current husband, where it was like before I got married. I made sure, even though I'm quite grown, I made sure I have a good relationship with my family members, and I made sure that I spoke to my mother and my father. They're divorced, so I had to make all these separate phone calls to my immediate family to tell them what was going on. Because like I said, this is kind of shocking. Somebody that's all, proper and logical like me, like, she's getting married. What? Who? What? I ain't never heard this person. What?
So why? Why would you get married after 60 days? When I think about it, maybe because I'm just so logical, but I think most people would ask that question.
I really feel like you generally shouldn't rush into, a relationship or whatever. And yes, indeed, we are totally still getting to know each other, still understanding each other's, hot buttons and, deep things from the past, situations with our respective families and stuff like that. And I think that takes time regardless. So it would still take a couple of years, even if we weren't married. But because of the life-threatening situation he was in, I said, you know what? This isn't going to hurt me. Let me go ahead. This is the man I'm going to be with. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this. And I think that it was my idea to help him out, but it was his idea to get married. It was just that the timing was completely different, because initially it wasn't like, let's get married now. But when, I started to see certain things going on with his doctors and stuff, I was like, you know what? I don't like the way they were talking. I don't like the fact that they're not getting back to you. I don't like certain different things. So I'm like, yeah, you're not going to get turned away here. These people aren't going to treat you like this if I have anything to say about it.
So things soared even more when she changed her social media status from single or in a relationship to married. Well, while she was still in her dress, she got a whole lot of reactions.
I'm still in my dress and everything. And I go and I look at my phone or whatever. And by the way, my phone is very quiet. The only time my phone makes noise is the alarm clock or the phone ringing. Otherwise, it doesn't ring. I turn off all notifications. So it wasn't like I was on my wedding day, going like this, just staring at my phone every 2 seconds. But when I did check it, I would have text messages that would quietly come in, or Facebook messages that would say things like, oh, you're married? You got married today? Oh, I didn't even know that you were that serious about anybody. Someone else said, is this a joke? Like, I was telling my husband, Doree did not just get married. This is a joke. There is no way she wouldn't. And then I'm like, oh no, yes, she wouldn't. Yes, she would. And they're going back and forth, betting with each other about whether or not I really got married. And basically all the messages came in because I didn't talk about my boyfriend / fiance, because they didn't know about it, because I didn't post umpteen pictures on Facebook of him prior to, okay, right. And document. And I'm a writer, by the way. I love journaling. I love writing. Like, that's my blood. Okay. But I didn't put all that stuff out there. And so because it was a surprise, sometimes one of my best friends from high school texted me and said on my wedding day, I am shocked. I can't believe you got married and you didn't tell me. I would have drove down. I would have came down there. And it's like, look, this is not that I had to explain myself, by the way, but this was something that was more or less spur of the moment. We went to the courthouse, we found out, when does the judge do this, and then when can these family members, our mothers and whatnot, get together? And we did it. Wasn't no invitations and registries and all of that. Both of us have been married before, and we've done the whole shebang. So nobody was cheated.
So the second time was just as official as the first, according to Dari. In fact, reactions didn't stop people, whether they were old friends or new friends or ex-boyfriends. They all had something to say.
Someone else was like, you could have told me. And the guy that said you could have told me is an old ex that married one of my friends right after we had been, doing stuff. He married a friend of mine on Valentine's Day. But here we come 6-7 years later, and you're texting me saying, you could have told me. Why do I need to tell you? Right. You have a wife and a baby. Why do I need to tell you anything? We're not even talking. Right. So I'm telling you, there was like a whole spectrum of strange congratulations going on.
So you always have a homeboy that's going to come out of the ashes. And she was surprised how even her close friends were shocked. And in this next clip, she tells us why, you know what? You got to use your words wisely, and you shouldn't be so harsh when people make these decisions.
So I'm just like, where did he come from? The other friends of mine that I'm more in touch with, I still kind of, it's not that I'm surprised that they're surprised, but, you know, be happy for me. Don't be shocked. See, again, I'm a writer, and, you know, words matter when you're talking to people about milestones in their life. And so what you want to do, I don't care if someone is getting married, if someone has died, what's going on, you got to, with those types of big life events, you got to make sure you're using the right words if you actually care about the person.
Right.
And so when people kept on using the word shocked, I'm shocked that you got married. I'm like, wait a minute. You know, and I said in the podcast, be shocked about, you know, the man that's running for president and that he might win. Be shocked about that. That is scary. That is negative. That is bad to me. Me getting married to somebody after having been single for over 12 years, being a single mom, that shouldn't be shocking to you.
After 12 years of singlehood, girlfriend was ready. She was ready to hop over that broom. But, you know, those words were hurtful. Words from her friends, maybe even family, they all range from a whole different kinds of comments. And you know what? I'm going to let her tell you.
But it's like, I have accomplished a lot without having been married. And so this is just like the ice cream on top, not the icing, but the ice cream, because you get to eat it and, you know, savor it and everything. This is the ice cream on top of the cake in my life. Okay. And I think that, you know, there's ways to convey things to people. Like, that's something that you might want to say to a mutual friend, like, what? Doree got married? What? But not to me.
Okay.
Not to me.
Yeah.
Because if I did it, you know, the person that thought it was a joke, I'm still not really sure what that was about, that it was a joke, but I guess maybe people put life events on Facebook that are fake. I don't know, because I personally, with my personality, these people have known me for years. I wouldn't joke around on Facebook and like make a life event that didn't really happen. A running buddy of mine, I had stopped running at this point and really didn't have a lot of communication with her, but she messaged me like the next day or something, and she said, Doree, I just really want to give you props for the way that you did what you did. And I was like, what do you mean? She said, didn't nobody know you were in a relationship? Didn't nobody know nothing? You're just like, boom, I'm married. She was like, that's the way I want to do it, because you didn't have everybody in your business saying stuff to you. You didn't like make a big fuss about it, which is okay if you fuss about it because it's your day. But she was just like, you just came in there like, boom, what? I'm married. Next. You know what I mean? And she was just like, that was so awesome. And I'm like, okay. So again, all different kinds of comments.
I told you, man karma is real. And in this case, an ex reached out to her when she got married. You know what that means, right?
I don't talk to my exes like that. So I don't know what, like, some people are friends with their exes and they stay in contact and they know everything that's going on in their lives. I don't do that. So when this guy, you know, who lives in another state, you know, hasn't been with me in over 5 years, said that his feelings were hurt, I was like, why? Please tell me why your feelings are hurt that I got married.
Yeah.
Oh, because, you know, you could have waited for me. What?
Life and choices is all about taking risks. And it all really depends how risk averse or how just risk happy you are. What makes it worthwhile is that her husband is in far better health now. Interestingly
enough, this is a little sad. I won't cry, but it is kind of sad. 6 months before I got married, there was an incident that I dealt with at my church, and I decided to leave my church. And I thought I was close to certain people. They were like family to me in this area because I don't really have family down south. And so that was very hurtful. And I didn't even know my husband at the time. but that was very hurtful. So those people I thought were close to me weren't there. And then at the end of the year, my sister had some surgery. She's fine now, but she was in the hospital on Christmas Eve. And my best friend at the time called me, and she knew that I was going to be in town. I had given her week's notice. And we were going to get together because I was going to be in town for Christmas for 2 weeks. And she did not make an effort to come see me. And then she got mad because she saw me doing check-ins at restaurants with various other friends in, her hometown. And I'm just like, well, I told you I was going to be here for 2 weeks. I was in the hospital on Christmas Eve when you called me because my sister just had surgery. And do you know, we have never talked. She doesn't know anything about my husband. She just completely stopped talking to me. And so the point is, the people that made the comments about my status, although most of them I'm pretty cool with, it really bothered me that people that I was really close to at that time that are not family members, my best friend and a couple of other people at my church, that they, weren't able to share in my happiness, because my best friend had been my best friend for 12 years and she's been married for a really long time. And she knew about my single woman struggles and things that I was going through as a single mom. So the fact that she just cut me off for a really stupid reason, at Christmas time, right, and that she doesn't know anything about my life now, and then boom, 6 months later I get married. That's really something. I don't know if it's a coincidence, but sometimes, now that I've moved and everything, a couple months ago, my husband and I moved to a bigger house. I just want to let her know how I'm doing and stuff like that. And sometimes I miss her. There's different things that I don't have in this town that I used to have in Atlanta. So there's adjustments. There's things I go through internally, but I don't regret marrying my husband quickly. I don't regret that because I know what he was like when we met, and he's doing a whole lot better. He's not like me, like in perfect health, but he's way better than he was.
So I asked her, you've done it twice. What's the difference between dating someone for 2 years versus 60 days? Are there any commonalities? Are there any differences? Or you just keep kind of the same principle and just use it in a fast track kind of way? And then we also started to talk about young Dari and, how that person, that younger self, impacted who she is today.
Back in the day, I didn't think that much of myself. Physically didn't think that much of myself. I knew that I was smart, but for whatever reason, smart, even though it is a compliment, for when you're a kid, sometimes that's just not enough. You want to be, beautiful, or you want to be popular, or you want to feel like you matter. And smart didn't really cut it for me as far as self-worth was concerned. Okay. So even though I grew up with both of my parents and my father was in my life and I always knew who my father was, my father wasn't emotionally there. He was physically there, came home every night and all of that. As far as I know, hasn't cheated on my mother or anything like that, but just mentally wasn't there. So you look at, one of the TV families in the 80s where the mom and the dad, they interact with the kids. They all talk to each other. They all laugh with each other, cry with each other, hug each other. Everybody does everything with everybody. That wasn't my household. You know what I'm saying? There's a certain way that we were when my dad wasn't in the house, which was freer. And when he was in the house, it's like, be on your P's and Q's, watch yourself. You don't know what kind of mood he's in. And I mean, he didn't do drugs or anything like that, but it's just his personality. And he was definitely the head of the household. And so my first husband is more, in personality wise, he's more like my dad than my current husband is. My current husband is definitely more sensitive. My current husband, it's easy for him to listen to me and to give his own, to talk about his own feelings. His father passed away 10 years ago and he misses him dearly. And so I don't get to see that relationship, but I understand that we grew up differently. So first husband grew up with his grandparents and stuff like that. I believe he was abused as a child. Oh, wow. Was not raised by his parents at all. One of them was institutionalized, never met his father. Current husband, he knows his whole family, but he feels kind of like an outcast. But when his father was alive, they were very close. So we have different upbringings. You know, my husband was the oldest of his family. Both of the husbands, they were the oldest child. Okay. I'm the middle child. So there's some personality differences there too. And that's a big deal. Everyone talks about, you know, communication is one of the keys to having a great relationship, but you have to know how to communicate, because depending on how you grew up, you know, it could have been yelling, it could have been complete silence. I'm going to retreat and just pretend this didn't happen. There's all different ways of coping.
So with the online dating thing, you have to open yourself up to new experiences. And the first new experience she had was being in an interracial relationship. So I had her explain what that meant to her at that moment and going forward.
He found me in this particular case, and when I saw his picture, I knew he wasn't Black, and I was okay with that, because what I really knew that I needed in somebody was somebody that would listen to me and love me and respect me, and not just like disappear or evaporate, you know, after, you know, getting what they want or whatever. And so I saw certain pictures of him with his family members. I was like, yeah, I'll talk to him and everything. And I heard his voice. He has a calm, quiet voice. He's very easygoing, very laid back. And, you know, he lived here most of his life. He spent some time in Puerto Rico as a child and has 2 Puerto Rican parents and knows fluent Spanish. So he mostly speaks it when he's talking to family members, but with everyone else speaks perfect English. So I've always wanted to learn Spanish. So it was kind of exciting in a way, because I'm like, oh, he's going to teach me. But what ends up happening is I'll use one of those apps, and it'll be like the Spain Spanish, the proper Spanish. Yep. And he'll correct everything that's in the app. And I just get frustrated. I'm like, okay, I know the numbers, I know the colors, I know how to say, I'm going to the bathroom. And that's it. You know, so I'm starting to forget some of it. And we went to Puerto Rico together after we got married. I met some more of his family, and pretty much everyone there speaks Spanish. Very, very rare to find someone that speaks fluent English there. So, you know, it's fun in that way and interesting to learn about another culture. But he and I are like a year apart. So we grew up in the same, because he was here most of the time, we grew up loving the same kind of music and, you know, even though our families are very different, our cultures are different, we have a lot of the same beliefs and values and grew up with some of the same, you know, iconic things, and admiring certain, you know, celebrities and stuff like that. And so we get along really well in that regard. And so we're more alike than different. I don't normally really think about his culture unless, you know, he's talking to someone in Spanish. We go to a Mexican restaurant, and they're kind of looking at me funny when I say something, and I look at him, I'm like, babe. And he's just like, and he just starts talking, and everything is cleared up. I'll think about it then. Or like if I'm playing with his hair or something, like if he's laying on me and I'm playing with his hair, because he's got that really soft, beautiful curly hair, I just run my fingers through. Other than that, it's not really a problem. But I just never really, I think I got approached by one Hispanic boy like way, way back in the day, like when I was like 15 years old, but I didn't really like him. Those men never approached me. So that's really the reason why I haven't done it before.
All right, so let's talk about what's near and dear to my heart, and that's being picky. Because the most attractive quality in any woman is when you know she hasn't been with everybody, and you won't just be with anybody either. And I'll say this. Be as picky with your men as you are with your selfies. Hit it, Dury.
And that's the thing, is being open to certain things. I think that it's absolutely great to have choices and have standards and have preferences. I don't like that whole thing about, oh, you're too picky. That's why you're single. You're too picky. You need to be picky. Ladies, be picky, please. Please pick a man that brushes his teeth and they're still attached to the inside of his mouth, please do that, because you're going to not be attracted to that after, 3 months if he's not like that, okay? That needs to be,
Right.
He needs to have cleanliness. He needs to be able to know how to put a sentence together. Even if he can't spell well, he needs to be able to talk to you. So yes, be picky, don't be too picky, but be picky, because if you don't have standards, then it's just like, okay, well, I'll just do whatever, it's okay with me if he's, got 3 chicks on the side, because I need something, you know what I mean? I have needs. No, you may have needs, but what you don't need is the clap. You don't need any diseases. That's what you don't need. Right. So be picky and have standards.
With any bride listening or bride out there, or a bride considering marriage, whether it's 5, 30, 60, 90 days, a year, 2, 10, moving in with your husband is a daunting feeling, right? So what are the things you need to know before you move in with them? There's so many known unknowns when you move in with somebody. It's scary. So Derry runs down her list, which is as long as anyone else's out there.
You're going to laugh at this maybe, but you need to know how that person sleeps. Do they need to have the fan on? Do they need to have the TV on? Do they go to the bathroom 20 times a night? These are things you need to know, because when you're by yourself, it don't matter. Who's going to say anything if you have the fan on or not, if you have the TV on or not, if you go pee 10 times? Right. Nobody cares. But you're going to notice if you're one way and the other person is not, you will quickly notice. And that is something that can really change your attitude quickly, is getting a different amount of sleep than you're used to getting. Okay. And not for the reasons that, I'm not talking about those other reasons. I'm talking about you're actually sleeping and you're interrupted because of one of those things I said, and so, you definitely want to know that before moving in with somebody. You gotta have expectations. This is even with roommates. You gotta kind of set rules and have expectations about, the whole kitchen thing, Is this my milk or is this our milk? Can I get the big piece of chicken, or is that off limits? Do you even eat chicken? Okay. If I bring some bacon in the house, are you going to divorce me? I need to know these things because I'm a meat person. So you see this pattern. I hate washing dishes with a passion. If I could never wash dishes again, I would be so happy. That would be awesome. I don't even know what I would do if I never had to wash dishes again. But some people, will just leave them and let them pile up until bugs start, coming to move in. So it's you need to know who's going to wash the dishes. Are we going to take turns with these chores? Are you going to play music when you go to sleep at night? Who's going to watch the big TV? If there's 2 things coming on at the same time, who's watching the big TV? Are we even going to have a TV in the bedroom? Are we not going to have one? Those are things you need to know with the new partner, because those will be quick fights. You're used to living by yourself and doing things how you want to do them for however long. And now you're trying to mesh your life with somebody who's been doing things the way that they wanted to do them all this time.
Timing. When do you have these hard conversations? I always tell you guys to have these hard questions lined up way in advance, right? Just ask the fucking question. So you need to know if you're dealing with a deal breaker or not. So I asked Derry if she had those conversations and the timing of them. Was it before, after? And I'll let Derry reveal what her thinking was.
Both. There were some things that were unexpected for the sleeping part, just because of his health and stuff like that. But for the most part, the things that I'm talking about are preferences. So, some people just absolutely have to have noise in the room when they go to sleep. They've got to have white noise of some sort. And some people don't. Some people can go to sleep, if the hurricane was coming and they could still be asleep and it don't matter what's happening. Right. I'm not like that. Noise bothers me. Light bothers me. And so, even my husband sitting in the bed, I got the light out and he's playing on his phone. That light is really bright at night when all the lights are out. And so I have to pull the covers over my head because I know he's going to play with that for a while. And it gets on my nerves and we say stuff, but it's not a huge fight. But it's those are things that we somewhat talked about, beforehand and then after. And you also have to decide, what are your deal breakers? You know what I'm saying? My husband is really great about not leaving clothes on the floor. And that's not something that I see with a lot of men, or have heard of with a lot of men, that may leave their drawers on the ground just wherever they take them off at and stuff. And it's like, okay, my husband, as soon as I showed him, like I have a hamper with 3 sorters in it. And I'm like, this one right here, this is yours. Just the one you fill up. And the first day I told him that, he started putting his dirty clothes there, and he's been doing it ever since.
And that wraps up another episode of the Keep It 100 Girls Show.
Damn!
My stories, they're real and true. For women, by women. More importantly, my goal is to empower and give you that dose of confidence that you know what's going to help you realize your worth, no matter what decision you make. If you want to share your story, drop me a line, question, or pitch. Even if it's something really, really small, but you feel like it has a big impact and can help someone else out there. You can reply to this podcast or send me a quick email to ask@ninababel.com. And you know what? Tell me what you're struggling with, girl, right now. New episodes of the Keep It 100 Girls Show, they drop every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and now Auto Radio. Connect with me on social. I'm everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and check out the Keep It 100 Girl Facebook page. And I'm going to help you out. You can even use the handle @NinaBabel. So it's NINAB as in boy, AB as in boy, EL. You spell my name like babe with an L. Like, hey, babe. All right. So that wraps up today's app. I'm going to see you on Thursday this week with the morning sip. You know I keep it real. I keep it true. I keep it 100. Don't forget, smooches.